Hello everyone, my name is McLean, and today we are going to discuss modes of inheritance using a pedigree as an example. Before we get straight into the example, I would like to discuss potential modes of inheritance like X-linked dominant, X-linked recessive, autosomal dominant and recessive, and Y-linked traits. Each of these requires certain criteria in order to be met and for the trait to be considered either X-linked dominant and recessive, autosomal dominant and recessive, or Y-linked. Alrighty, so X-linked dominant, the trait is considered dominant and can either be homozygous or heterozygous. For X-linked recessive, the trait is considered recessive and can only be expressed homozygous. For autosomal dominant, the trait is considered dominant and can be either homozygous or heterozygous. And for autosomal recessive, the trait is considered recessive and can only be expressed as homozygous. And a Y-linked trait is only expressed in men passed down from the father to son. So X-linked traits are encoded by genes located on the X chromosome, and then autosomal traits are encoded on genes which are not sex chromosomes. Now that we understand modes of inheritance a little better, we can look at this pedigree of the Weasley family tree from J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter novels. In it, we are looking at the trait for red hair and determining which mode of inheritance it is and why the others are disqualified. So we'll be using R as the sign for the trait. So we're going to start with X-linked dominant. Alrighty, so looking at X-linked dominant, we can see that this mode of inheritance does not work with this pedigree because when you get to the third generation, Fred and Roxanne are not shaded. So you can see that Roxanne would inherit one little R from Angela, and she should inherit another little R from George, but since George is shaded, and he only has one X chromosome, and it's a big R, this can't be right, because Roxanne should be shaded, but she's not. Starting now with X-linked recessive, I've already put everything on the pedigree, but you can see it works for generation 1 and 2, but as soon as you get to generation 3 again, starting with Ginny and Harry's children, you can see that it works for Albus, but it does not work for Lily, because Lily has red hair as indicated by the shaded, but she gets one X from Ginny, which is recessive, but she gets a big R from Harry, which would mean she shouldn't have red hair, and she does. So this means that it does not work. Now we're going to look for Y-linked traits. As you can see, Arthur is shaded, and so is all of his children for generation 2. But as soon as we look at George and Angela's children, you can see that Fred is not shaded, which means it's not a Y-linked trait because it passes from father to son. So all of your sons have to be shaded, and none of them are in the third generation. And as you can see by the pedigree, once again, autosomal dominant works. As you can see by the pedigree, autosomal recessive works.